Good day, everyone. I'm Angeline Cristobal, and I will be your presenter for today. I will discuss to you the subtopics under Topic 6, Philosophical Orientation, and the Philippine Education System at different periods. The different periods that I will discuss are the following: Philosophy of Education under the Japanese occupation, Philosophy under the Republic of the Philippines, Philosophical Orientation during the New Society, 1985 to present, and Focus of the Learner. Philosophy of Education under the Japanese occupation. The Japanese occupied the country in 1942 after the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. The educational aim during the Japanese era: Philippine as a member of East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere, eradication of the old idea, fostering a new Filipino culture as Orientals, elevating the morals of the people, diffusion of elementary education and promotion of vocation education, striving for the diffusion of Japanese language, and inspiring people with the spirit to love labor. Content studied: training emphasis on vocational, technical, and agriculture, opening of vocational schools, establishment of agricultural schools and colleges, emphasizing vocational education, diffusing the use of Nihongo, teaching physical education and singing Japanese songs, and the curricular content was centered on values rooted on love for labor. During this era, the Ministry of Education was created. Under the Japanese, teaching of Tagalog, Philippine history, and character education was given priority. Love for work and dignity of labor was emphasized. Philosophy under the Republic of the Philippines. The 1935 Constitution continued to be implemented during the entire period. Education aimed at the full realization of the democratic ideals and way of life. Educational aims are: democracy is predicated upon the intrinsic worth of the individual. Individuals realize their capacities best in a social contract. Society is not separated from the individual. Democracy thrives on change. It is dynamic and flexible. It fosters persuasion and consensus and rejects coercion and indoctrination. Curricular content stress: social orientation as manifested by the conservation of the Filipino heritage, training for occupation, promotion of democratic nation building, and a new trust on community development. Legal mandates. On June 14, 1947, the Board of Textbooks was created. June 15, 1954, civil service eligibility of teachers was made permanent. June 16, 1954, Board of National Education was created and later renamed as National Board of Education. The board's function is now under CHED. June 11, 1955, a daily flag ceremony was made, including the singing of national anthem pursuant to Republic Act 1265. Legal mandates. On June 12, 1956, writings of Jose Rizal, especially the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, shall be included in all levels. Elementary education was nationalized pursuant to Republic Act 4007. June 18, 1966, the Magna Carta for Public Schools Teachers was created. 1968, Special Education Fund and Local School Board were created pursuant to Republic Act 5447. It is to finance and support provincial schools. 1969, Presidential Commission to study the Philippine education was created. The period also saw the rise of barrio high schools advocated by Dr. Pedro T. Orata, and Constitutional Convention was created. Philosophical orientation during the new society. Educational aim under Presidential Commission to study Philippine education are provision for a broad education which will enhance self-actualization, manpower training in middle-level skills, and development of the high-level professions and evaluation. Educational aims under 1973 Constitutions are to foster love of country, teach the duties of the citizenship, develop moral character, self-discipline, and scientific, technological, and vocational efficiency. New Society Content Studied. Curricular changes in elementary education, focused on education, integration of values in all learning areas, emphasis on mastery learning, curricular changes in secondary education, increased in time allotment, YDT and CAT introduced as new courses, elective offerings as part of the curriculum. Media of instruction is bilingual education policy. It is the using of English and Filipino as media of instruction in specific learning areas. Legal mandates. Presidential Decree Number 1, Integrated Reorganization Plan. It is the decentralization of the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. Decision-making is shared by 13 DEC's regional offices. Presidential Decree 146, National College Entrance Examination, required all senior high school students to pass the NCEE. Presidential Decree 907, Civil Service eligibility are granted to tertiary honor students, summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and cum laude. Department Order No. 25, 1974, Bilingual Education Program, mandates the use of English and Filipino separately as media of instructions in school. Presidential Decree 1006, teachers are considered professionals and teaching as profession upon passing the Professional Board Examination for Teachers. Batas Pambansa Bilang 232 or Education Act of 1982, an act providing for the establishment and maintenance of an integrated system of education. The act also provided for maintenance of quality education. Education during the present period, 1985 to present. Educational aim. Education aimed to promote national development and values education. Under new elementary school curriculum, they emphasize mastery learning, 3 R's, intellectual skills, humanism, and Philippinism. Under secondary education development program, they emphasize the subjects generally oriented to the development of values, specific competencies, concept-based subject areas, unidisciplinary treatment of curriculum content. And for new secondary education curriculum, they emphasize the multidisciplinary treatment of curriculum content, student-centered, cognitive affective manipulative-based curriculum, values education offered as separate subject area, science and technology, uses bilingual policy, and critical thinking. Future direction for the Philippines. Education for all. EFA components are early childhood care and development, universal quality of primary education, eradication of illiteracy, and continuing education. The new society officially ended on February 25, 1986. New civil service eligibility law was created. 1987 Constitution was ratified on February 2, 1987 with its fundamental educational aims, shall inculcate patriotism and nationalism, foster love of humanity, respect for human rights, appreciation for the role of the national heroes in the historical development of the country, teach the rights and duties of citizenship, strengthen ethical and spiritual values, develop moral character and personal discipline, encourage critical creative thinking, broaden scientific and technological knowledge, and promote vocational efficiency. A nationwide educational survey was conducted with its recommendations, the breakup of DEX into Department of Basic Education (BSE), Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA, and Commission on Higher Education or CHED. Establishment of Teacher Education Centers of Excellence, professionalization of teachers, technical vocational reform. DEX Order No. 6, 1988, strengthening the teaching of values was created, and also with Republic Act 6655, free public secondary education was also created. Student Employment Law, students whose ages range from 15 to 25 may be employed during summer or Christmas vacation with a salary not lower than the minimum wage. 60% of it shall be paid by the employer and 40% by the government. June 2, 1994, the Congress repealed the National College Entrance Examination. Along the professionalization of teachers started by Presidential Decree 1001, Republic Act 7836 was signed into law on December 16, 1994, with its important provisions: creation for Board for Professional Teachers composed of 5 commissioners under PRC, replacement of PBET by LET, transfer of authority of administering the LET, Code of Ethical and Professional Standards for Professional Teachers. Recommendations on education during the present period: strengthening the foundation of education, improving the quality of primary education, curriculum and content, broad-based curriculum, new basic education curriculum, conceptual framework and parameters of the curriculum, the learning areas, process and outcomes, the support system, monitoring and evaluation. Its priorities: advancement of ECCD, expansion of preschool services, impact of the 8-week early childhood experiences in grade 1, scheme should be studied, improving the quality of primary education. It emphasized the dropout intervention program, multi-grade strengthening, comprehensive teacher education and development program, upgrade teaching approaches and techniques, teaching approaches which promote active, participatory, and experiential learning. 2002 to 2011. New secondary education curriculum and new elementary school curriculum were replaced by the 2002 Basic Education Curriculum or BEC. The refinement of the 2010 Secondary Education Curriculum followed the Understanding by Design. Republic Act 10157, kindergarten education into the basic education system. So it is compulsory and mandatory that a child should pass kindergarten for entrance to grade 1. 2012 to 2013 to present. Republic Act 10533, Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, the rollout implementation of the K-12 basic education curriculum for grade 1 and grade 7 shall start during this school year. 12-year basic education cycle is first in the 10-point agenda of President Benigno Aquino. K-12 aims to enhance learners' basic skills, produce more competent citizens, and prepare graduates for lifelong learning and employment. Latest, June 25, 2020, President Rodrigo Duterte signs law restoring GMRC values education subjects under Republic Act 11476. GMRC and values education replace the ESP. GMRC will be taught from grade 1 to grade 6 as a separate subject and will be integrated into the daily learning activities of kindergarten students. Values education will be taught as separate subject from grade 7 to grade 10 and will also be integrated into current subjects in grade 11 to grade 12 under the K-12 basic education curriculum. Focus of the learner. Traditionally, teachers direct the learning process and students assume a receptive role in their education. With the advent of progressive education in the 19th century and the influence of psychologists, some educators have largely replaced traditional curriculum approaches with hands-on and group work activities which the child determines on his own what he wants to do in the class. Focus on the learner means student-centered learning. What is student-centered learning? Is an approach to education focusing on the needs of the students rather than those of others involved in the educational process such as teachers and administrations. Acknowledges student voice as central to the learning experience for every learner. This learning requires students to be active, responsible participants in their own learning. Students are involved in deciding how to demonstrate their learning. To be considered as student-centered learning, the environment should be open, dynamic, trusting, respectful, and promote children subjective as well as objective learning styles. Students may collaborate in hands-on problems and draw their own conclusions. This experiential learning involves the whole child, their emotions, thoughts, social skills, and intuition. The result is a person who is self-confident and critical thinker. The teacher role is to be a facilitator, become aware of the diverse background of his or her learners. Incorporation of a few educational practices such as Bloom's taxonomy and Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence will help the teacher to know the behavior or background of his or her learners. So that ends my report. So I will leave you a quote. Change is inevitable. Change is constant. By Benjamin Disraeli. As we live in an ever-changing society, our educational system also changes. As our educational practices changes, so does our approach to teaching and learning change. Therefore, the mindset about teaching and learning is constantly evolving into new and innovative ways to reach diverse learners. In the end, let's work hand in hand because we do have the same goal. It is to produce lifelong learners. Thank you.